here today because the people that normally present at this are really fantastic speakers. And I'm not, so bear with me here. I'm going to make this more about a conversation than a presentation. I'll give you a little background on me. I'm a producer, writer, producer, director here in Orlando. I started in the business about 23 years ago, and I've had my own company, Foster Productions, for 16 years. So we do a lot of broadcast shows, a lot of commercials, high-end industrial type programs, things like that. And over the years, I've worked on a lot of different programs for some really big brands, some of the best-known brands in the world, and some of the largest corporations in the world. And normally what I do for those corporations is help make them money, which is fantastic. You know, we're entrepreneurs, we want to make money, right? That's why we're here. But every once in a while, I have a client that'll say, you know, this is revolutionary, this is going to change the world, this is the biggest, most important thing you've ever worked on. And it's usually not. We're usually just making them money, right? But for them, it's the biggest, most important thing in the world because, like us, they're entrepreneurs or they're committed to their companies and they want to do great things. So I had the opportunity to work on a project that really did make a difference. And that project was called Adventure to Fitness. And I partnered with a company here in Orlando called Ideas. Has anybody heard of Ideas? Yeah. So Ideas, I've been partnered with them since 1999, back when we were on the back lot of MGM Studios. We moved downtown a few years ago and have really diversified the work. But one of their clients came to us and said, we have this kids show. We want to get kids active, we want to make a difference, we want to get them out of their seats and get them moving so that they can learn better and they can be healthier, and we think we're going to change the world. We're like, okay, we've heard this change the world story before. And then we started working on the show. And that show has a host named Mr. Mark, and he invites kids to get up out of their seats and keep moving with him. And they go on an adventure. And that adventure is back in time in history. It can be anywhere. It can be, to the moon. It can be to a different location. But they're always learning something, but they're active while they're learning. And it was fun to work on. We had a blast, and our whole entire team was like, I think we're actually making a difference. And we would get crayon-written notes from kids that said, I'm drinking my water, or I told my mom not to be like Mr. Lazy, who was the nemesis in Mr. Mark's Adventure to Fitness. And so we saw, we're really touching kids, we're really impacting their lives. And that motivated us to work harder. And so we have this team of people in Orlando that have been working in the production industry for well over 20 years, all of us. And we haven't really been passionate about anything until now. So, flash forward a couple years, Adventure to Fitness ran out of money. Our team ran out of work on that project, and we went back to serving our corporate clients, which are great, for some of the biggest brands in the world. What we were doing was great, it was fun, we're all making a living, doing what we love, but we weren't changing the world. We weren't doing what we wanted to do, which was affect kids, get kids active, give them a reason to want to go to school, give them a reason to want to be active, to want to eat healthy, to put down the sugary beverages and snacks and drink water. So, I told you earlier, I've had my own company for 16 years, so I'm just crazy enough to think, well, I could just start another company and we'll create another show. Right? So our team got behind me and we came up with something different. And there's a lot of paths that have gotten us to this spot. But really, Yoga Dog is a show that comes from our desire to make the world a better place and to give kids entertaining programs that will help them change their lives and change the world. So I started this company called Kids Wellness Alliance. How many of you have kids? All right, how many have children in your lives? Nieces, nephews, neighbors, any kind of kid at all. What do you want for those kids? You want them to be happy, you want them to be healthy, confident, kind, right? Nobody ever says, oh, I want my kid to grow up and make a lot of money, but who cares how he treats people on his way up to the top, right? Even though we see that happens a lot of times, those parents never aspire that for their children. We want kids to be happy, we want them to be healthy, we want them to be self-aware and confident and make good decisions. And so we started Kids Wellness Alliance. And we started that not really knowing what shows we were going to make. We knew we wanted to create shows that would help create a better future for kids. We knew we wanted to create programs that we would give to schools, so not charge schools. We wanted to give them to schools so that they could use them in their classrooms. We also know that you can do good, but you can also make money while you're doing good. So we want to have books and games and mobile technology and all the things that come along with creating programs for kids and build brands that kids will attach to so that we can give it to them, they'll enjoy it, they'll do it, but we also can make some money off of it and can create a sustainable business. So we created Kids Wellness Alliance, and it's a team of local people, my partners at Ideas, and then we've also got we've got an advisory board. And our advisory board are pediatric professionals like child psychologists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, teachers. We've got some people who have dedicated their lives to creating non-bullying environments. So we're really focusing on making sure that our programs are inclusive and healthy. So here's a little bit about the company. And our motto is laugh, stretch, play every day. Because, even as adults, if we don't laugh, if we don't stretch, if we don't play every day, what are we doing? We're not living a life worth living. So one of the big reasons we're doing this is because of the childhood obesity rates. Does anybody take a guess on what the childhood obesity rate is in the country? 30%.
70%.
Anybody else? 22% of children pre-K are considered overweight or obese. 22%. That's a third of our youth. Almost a third of our youth. 10% of those are considered obese. These are our children. This is our nation's kids, and they're considered obese. What's really daunting is kids that are obese in the pre-K are 5 times more likely to be overweight or obese as adults, even by the time they're 12. By the time they're 12, the number goes up dramatically in terms of what their health and wellness will be like as an adult. So we don't believe we should march into schools and tell kids they have to exercise. We believe we should go into schools and say, here's a really fun, entertaining program that we want you to play with. We want you to get up, we want you to play, we want you to be active, use your imaginations, be silly, have fun. And we think that the second part of our mission will affect the first part of our mission. If we can get kids to play, if we can give them an environment where it's safe to explore, and we can get them active and get them active in a communal way, we think it'll have lifelong effects for them. One of the things with Adventure to Fitness, we would watch videos that teachers would send in, or we'd see pictures that teachers would send in. And it was the entire classroom up having fun together, running and playing and jumping. Kids that didn't talk to one another sometimes, kids that, I don't really like her and I don't really like him and we're not best of friends, we're jumping and laughing and playing together and high-fiving at the end. So we know this works. So let's talk about what's out there right now for kids shows. Some of you are parents. What are your kids watching?
Oso.
Okay.
Let's see, George. Let's see, what is that? Oh yeah, Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebels.
Yep.
And he's only 4.
He's 4, just 4.
Handy Manny, which is pathetic. And the other one he's really into is Chuggington.
Is what?
Chuggington?
Chuggington.
Disney's answer to Thomas the Tank Engine.
Okay, good. Anybody else? What are your little ones watching?
Minecraft. I
Minecraft.
like watching YouTube.
Yep.
He's like, he doesn't watch TV anymore. Just watches Stampy Longnose and all these other people on YouTube that have kids.
Yeah. And that's the way it's going. It's going digital, right? These kids aren't really watching TV anymore at a scheduled hour. They're watching it digitally on either on their tablets or on their smart TVs. So what were you saying?
Yeah, every kid is watching YouTube non-stop, more than
Yeah,
my little brothers and friends.
they're watching it on YouTube, he's saying. They're not watching it on regular TV. True. Okay, so what types of characters are they associating with? You know, what are these characters teaching them in these shows? You know, leave that as a rhetorical question. Same thing, what skills are they learning? Are they learning coping skills? Are they learning to share? Are they learning to be good people? Are they learning to, you know, think outside of the box? What are they learning? And then how are these shows making these children better people? Like, we have this audience of little kids that we could be helping become better people. We could help them be better adults. We could help them become better kids. So, are these shows that your kids watching, are they helping them be better people? I don't know, maybe. What, I'm sorry?
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales, yeah. Yeah. So this is a little, what I like to call crunchy granola touchy-feely. But this, when I saw this quote the first time a few years ago, when we were thinking about what show we were going to produce, I was really touched by it. I thought, you know, what if we could teach every 8-year-old to meditate? First of all, meditation isn't fun, so, you know, what kid wants to learn to meditate? But then I thought, you know, the more rational part of me thought, there's no way we can teach every 8-year-old in the world to meditate. It just can't happen. That's not possible. But then I thought, well, what if we could teach one kid to meditate? What if we could teach 10? How about 100? How about 1,000,000? What if 3% of the kids in our schools knew how to self-regulate, were self-aware, were able to go inside themselves to a much happier, quieter place when things outside of them are chaotic and scary? Well, what if? So, went back to the team, we said, let's not create just a kids' exercise show. Let's give something that incorporates yoga and meditation. And not just because we want this to, you know, we want to change the world through yoga and meditation, but because yoga is the fastest growing sport in the country. It's growing faster than soccer. It's got more users. Most of the users are affluent adults. And it's very, very effective. So from a business standpoint, we think we should incorporate yoga. So we came up with Yoga Dog. And people say, how'd you come up with the name Yoga Dog? It's just what we've been calling this show since we thought about what it would be. You know, we knew when we created Yoga Dog, we knew that our dog, there was going to be a dog that was a hero of our show. A dog would be the one that kind of led the kids on these different adventures, and he would have relatable stories and relatable problems to solve, and he would surround himself with friends, and he would have the energy and the curiosity of a child, and he would be relatable and become a best friend, right? I mean, dogs are man's best friend. Why not be kids' best friends? So we came up with Yoga Dog, and I hope when we get to the Q&A part we can talk more about the show because it's funny, it's really hilarious, and it does exactly what we want it to do, which is teach kids valuable lessons and get them up and get them moving. Yoga Dog, the main character, invites children to join him on the adventures. So it's not passive television like the kids are watching today. It's, come on kids, do this with me. And they're not just exercising, they're learning a lesson through every storyline. So this is our guy, Yoga Dog. I should explain that Yoga Dog is a combination of live action and animation. So Yoga Dog is actually a person in costume. We have a couple characters, Yoga Dog being one of them, that are live action characters. His sister, Sassy Cat, is also a live action character. So what you see here is always, I mean, it's basically our logo. But we have the show in our heads. We have, you know, we've got some art, we've got it kind of worked out. We've got 30 episodes thought out of what we want to create. But the most expensive part about creating the show is the pilot episode, because every adventure starts off in Yoga Dog's house with a big practical set. So imagine everything is from Yoga Dog's perspective. And we see an enormous house with a big door and a big sofa where Sassy Cat sits because she does the most complicated yoga poses you can possibly imagine on the back of that sofa. And there's a bookshelf, and on that bookshelf sits Fish. And Fish never leaves the house. He just is always there, so he over-emotes and he gets really excited about things that are happening in the house. But that is a set. That requires set designers, it requires props, it requires a lot to create that environment. When Yoga Dog's family leaves the house every day, we see the door close, and then Yoga Dog turns to us and we see him. And he says, "Hey friends, are you ready to have a great day?" Because he hears all the time, "Have a great day, Yoga Dog," when his mom leaves. So Yoga Dog sets up his adventure, and then they go off into his imagination. And his imagination is limitless. He can go to the moon, he can go into the sea, he can go to a friend's birthday party, he can go to a classroom, and he can interact with anyone he wants to interact with, right? This is imagination. So all of those animated characters that he interacts with need to be created. You know, those are things that this is all, we've got the show figured out, but we have to create all of this stuff. But the nice thing about the show, it's fun, but we're directing it mostly at 3 to 9-year-olds. It's fun and entertaining, and it'll be great in the classroom. The other thing is, it's beneficial for all children. Something I wanted to talk about: how many people have someone in your life who is on the autistic spectrum or differently abled? That's a rapidly growing population of children that are being completely ignored in the entertainment world. Yoga Dog addresses those kids. And we know, there's proven studies that yoga is very, very effective, yoga and meditation, very effective for those kids and very, very beneficial for them. So our focus is 3 to 9-year-olds, but we expect kids into their teens that are on the spectrum or differently abled to enjoy Yoga Dog. And we're creating this show for them. Let's see, kind of talked about all of this. Really important to know that this just isn't a show that we want to create and, give it away to schools. It's a business. We want to develop it as a complete line of media, gaming, mobile apps, books, backpacks. I like to say backpacks to bed sheets. I mean, how many of your kids out there have SpongeBob SquarePants pajamas? We want them to wear Yoga Dog pajamas. So while it's fun and it's entertaining, it's going to do great in the world, it is a business. Each episode includes social inclusion, self-awareness, self-regulation, nutrition, hydration, problem solving, conflict resolution. These are things that maybe they're part of kids' entertainment now, but maybe 1, maybe 2 are being addressed. So we want every episode to be a thematic journey where a problem is presented at the beginning, is resolved at the end, and then Yoga Dog ends up back in his house and he's solved his problem and everything's good in the world. And we want to teach kids life skills that aren't taught in school. Maybe they're taught in school, hopefully they're taught in school, but they're not directly taught. Things like good sportsmanship, teamwork, and respect for self and others, and not bullying. And with recess being cut out of a lot of classrooms and kids not getting out and getting the exercise that they need and getting that social interaction that they need, we think that Yoga Dog will provide for a lot of that. How are we doing on time?
We need to start wrapping up.
Let's wrap up. Well, I hope we can talk about this show on Q&A, and I really appreciate you all nodding and acting like I'm making sense up here, because as I mentioned, I'm a behind the camera person, not in front, and so our goal is to get the funding that we need to create this show. I can make this show today, and in that, get the funding to get another person on board who can get up here and talk better about what the show is, and who is a marketing person and get our management team in alignment with what the vision of the show is. So I'm going to leave this sit up here so you can kind of see the characters, and then we can start the Q&A.
If you can do me a favor, just raise your hand so that David or I can bring you a microphone, and that way the questions are recorded on the video.
Good, okay. Good morning. You did well.
Thank you.
Be at peace.
Thank you.
You've said a few times that you are looking for financial support. What's the small number?
Yep.
and the dream number?
Good question. So our small number is $300,000, and that's not very small, but if you think about television, it is pretty small. Our small number is $300,000, gets us a pilot episode. With that pilot episode, we strongly believe we can take that to corporate partners and say, here's our show, and get them to come on board with getting us to our big number. Our bigger number is $3 million for a full season. That's 18 episodes. That includes content for 18 episodes and distribution to every school in the country and every U.S. military base in the world for free, giving it to them.
So, yeah, hi. My name is Felix. You obviously have a very nice presentation. I understand the character elements. I do understand the macro vision of what you're trying to say, providing kids with something that's more mindful and activity-driven. I guess the one thing I'm trying to understand is, I do have a television background, and I can understand the complexities that go on in developing this type of programming. But I guess knowing that you're going to produce this content series, it still sounds like you're basically creating like a television series, right? Basically, that's the anchor.
That's right.
And yet you raise a lot of all these interesting elements about how, well, that's a pretty linear format that's been time tested for decades. And really, you mentioned in your early thing is that, all these kids that are interacting with tablets and everything like that. And the core of this product is about making kids active. So do you think there's actually a angle that really that it's not just straight like video that's just like, hi, watch 22 minutes and, and then wait for the next episode? It almost seems like, it's a misalignment from what you're trying to do in the greater mission, like that the programming isn't really seeming to address this how do you engage kids in an interactive component and get them to do these things as part of the programming, I guess, and that's some of these things that happens through apps and everything but are you leading it with the TV per se, purely on that? So the question, I guess the big thing is when do you see those types of elements coming in, and why do you prioritize the TV facet of it as your launch point?
So we're calling it a TV show because we're creating it as a 22-minute episodic program that has donut holes in the middle for sponsorship opportunities and commercials and things like that. Our first priority is to get this into every school in the country through digital distribution. So every school and every U.S. military base in the world, because we think those are the kids that need Yoga Dog most. So the goal is to get kids to love Yoga Dog at school and go home and talk about it. And then their parents do a digital download through either a Netflix or a Hulu or some kind of a digital distribution program, or our direct distribution program that we create for the schools. And they do those activities at home. And they become, well, let me back up. Does anybody in the room do yoga? So yoga becomes not a thing that you do, it becomes who you are. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes very much ingrained in who you are and how you live your life. So we hope, kids will go home and they'll say, let's do Yoga Dog. Not let's watch Yoga Dog, let's do Yoga Dog. And the whole family will do Yoga Dog. We're not looking to sell this to a network. We don't think that that's the market for this. So while we say it's a TV show, we're not trying to get Nickelodeon to pick it up. Let's be honest, if they came in and said, here's $10 million, we might sell it to Nickelodeon, and create the next show. But right now it's not a TV show. It's give it to schools, get kids active, get them to go home, love the brand, want to do the show at home, not just watch the show, participate in the show. on their mobile apps, on their games. Also in the schools, with every episode we give, there's a teacher's guide. So there's curriculum wrapped around whatever the message is, whatever the storyline is. So teachers can build that into their day, and they can learn about the lessons that Yoga Dog has just taken them through, and they can deepen that understanding. So we expect our games and our apps and all of that, the technology, to support the episodic content, but the episodic content is the way of building the brand and getting kids to like it. Does that answer your question?
Let's create a dialogue afterwards, and then continue with the Q&A.
Okay, yeah, let's follow up afterwards.
Yes, first of all, thank you. Amazing concept. I wish I still had a 3 to 9-year-old. For the fellow entrepreneurs in the room, how long have you actively been developing this concept, and how many investment groups and what kind of investors have you taken this to?
So the concept is about 3 years in the making, because when Adventure to Fitness went away, we started thinking, our team started thinking, well, what if we come up with something else on our own? And so there was a lot of discovery trying to figure out what that show was. And then we worked on just fleshing out the concept for about 1.5 years. And then we sat on it for about 6 months because we were busy and working on other things. And kind of getting Yoga Dog off of our desks and out in the public was a little bit scary. That meant we really have to do it. You know, we don't want to talk about it and not make it happen. So it was about 3 years from when we started thinking about it till now. The investment side has been much more recent. I've got a partner on board who is handling the financial side of this and the offering summaries and all of the things that investors need to know. Because, again, way outside of my expertise. And part of my job as a producer is to surround myself with people that are smarter and better than me and what their particular roles are. So I have someone that's been, you know, doing deals for 30-some years who's on board. So we're crafting deals or offerings to very specific type of investors, because this isn't an immediate return. You know, this is a 3-year maybe return. So we need somebody who understands the entertainment industry, who understands the vision of what we're trying to accomplish, and is willing to hang in there with us for, you know, 3 years before they see anything in return. So it's a very specific type of investor. We've also had people say, what are you trying to do this in Orlando for? And we love Orlando, we live in Orlando. And, you know, not just because we love the city, but, you know, we're the place where people from all over the world bring their families to enjoy, you know, to just escape from reality and enjoy vacations, right? So we have that entertainment here. We've got the robust tech community that's growing and growing and growing, who we know that we can leverage for all of our apps and our simulations and all the things that we want to do from a technology standpoint. And then Medical City. You know, we're rapidly becoming the city that is looked at as, you know, the leaders of health and wellness. So we've got everything here in Orlando that perfectly position Yoga Dog for success. And we've got the animators, we've got the illustrators, we've got the production professionals. So.
Hi. I think that's a great idea, and I mean, I go to yoga and my friends, you know, would think it was awesome, but I do also have a few friends that are really religious, and they have a problem with yoga and the whole meditation aspect, so I wasn't sure if you had like a plan for educating parents, because I feel like I know one of my friends, her parents would have had her pulled out of the class for it, just because they're that against yoga and the aspect of meditation.
Yes, very, very valid point. We like to say we're not creating the show for those people, but we also know that we can't avoid that those people are going to have children in the classroom. So when we decided to stick with the name Yoga Dog, we talked about this very thing, because you can't get around it, you know? When you watch the show and you know that Yoga Dog's this fun character, kind of silly character, there's nothing that says yoga about any of that. You know, we're kind of sneaking into yoga. And I should back up and say that kids yoga is play. You know, it's jumping like a frog and roaring like a lion and, you know, slithering like a snake. And so that's the kind of things that kids are going to be doing. And they're going to be, you know, counting instead of meditating, you know. And one of our characters, you can see up there, is Glow. And Glow is like Yoga Dog's conscience, like a fairy godmother. And she appears when Yoga Dog gets kind of spun up and is worried about something or anxious. And the hilarious thing about that is Yoga Dog's favorite thing in the world is a ball, right? So Yoga Dog shows up, or Glow shows up, and Yoga Dog's like, ball, 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 and he's already freaking out. So, you know, Glow calms him down and tells him to breathe and reminds him that, that he's in control of whatever the situation is in a very yogic way, but it's not a way that is, someone could look at that and go, well, you're trying to brainwash my kid. It's a way that is, yes, we're incorporating the tools of yoga and the benefits of yoga and meditation, but it's not, there's no alms, there's no chanting, it's fun, it's just play. So hopefully, those people don't see Yoga Dog and freak out and want to pull their kids from the school. It's something that we're aware may happen. Those are the people that need yoga most. So we hope that they watch it. Yeah, exactly. It's not subtle. Yeah, no, it's not subtle. We talked about that. We're like, maybe Yoga Dog isn't the best name for it if we're trying to slide in the yoga.
Please wait for the mic before we're yelling out comments. We need to pick it up on the live stream. Thanks.
There's a question right here first.
Hi. I thought you did a great job. If I had the money, I would happily fund you.
Thank you.
I know that lately I have been volunteering at a local elementary school here in Florida. And unfortunately, like you said, recess is getting cut. And so they get maybe 10 minutes a day, which is nothing. By the time they get outside, they're having to gather the kids to come back in. So the teachers, some of them do videos inside. And so I know it's 22 minutes. Have you thought about so schools, because the curriculum's changed and they might not be open to a solid 22 minutes to do it, have you thought about maybe shortening it for the school side and then having the 22 minutes for the at-home side of things?
That's a really good point. So with Adventure to Fitness, it's kind of the same model as we created that show. And there's an opening, and then there's kind of a setup, so there's breaks. So what we found what teachers would do with that show is they would use it throughout the day. So the kids could stay active. And they would also use it as a tool, as a reward. So they would say, if you guys don't calm down and get your work done, then we're not going to watch the third segment of Adventure to Fitness. We got lots of teachers saying that the kids loved it because it was so different. It was so fun. And then the teachers would say, we love it when the kids do it because then they're tired and they're really ready to focus. So we think the model that it is created now, the story length, it's right for a lot of reasons. So we're hoping that teachers use it exactly like I just explained within the classrooms throughout. It could be broken up over a week, So.
If you don't raise any money, what are you going to do to grow the brand?
Well, we have to raise money. we can't, what we're doing right now, we have a Kickstarter campaign right now. And we did a very aggressive Kickstarter campaign. We said we want to raise $300,000 in 30 days. And you're shaking your head no. Everybody I talked to about it shook their head no. And it's true. That's a lot of money. Like, we're going to have Ellen DeGeneres talk about Yoga Dog every day for us to get to those kind of numbers, right? We knew that if a celebrity maybe got on board, then maybe we'll reach $300,000 in 30 days. What that Kickstarter has done is it's created this, I'd like to say groundswell, but it's a little baby groundswell now of people who understand what we're trying to do and understand the concept. And so just having it out there is better than it sitting on our desks and not doing anything with it. Are we raising money? No. Am I spending a lot of money out of my own pocket? Yes. But what's also happening is we're having conversations with private investors and people who understand what we're trying to do, and people who are connected to private money. So we're going to get this thing funded one way or another. And we want to do it in the best way to not dilute, the equity in a million pieces. But we know that there are people out there that understand what we're doing. Building the brand, we can't do much more with the brand I'm self-funding this. I've been self-funding this for 3 years, so I can't build the brand any more than it's built, unless I win the lottery or something like that happens. So if you have ideas on how we can build the brand, I would love to have a conversation with you afterwards. That'd be awesome. I think we've taken it as far as we can.
There's a question right here.
We have a whole bunch.
First, I want to say I absolutely love the idea. I see exactly where you're going with it. I see your vision with it. You're kind of giving the very beginning steps of yoga meditation for the kids to play with. It's awesome. First thing I would say is Disney Accelerator, and check with them. It's a great opportunity for you. The other thing is, I understand making production and all that takes thousands upon thousands of tens of thousands of dollars. Why not go the opposite way with branding? Why not build the app first and try and get some, a minimum viable product, and go the cheaper route, bootleg it first, and then go into production once you build an audience and build, more branding.
That's an interesting concept. The way we look at it, our team looks at it, is the show is the brand, and then all of the other products are extensions of the brand. If there's if there's a real creative way to create an app that gets the concept across without doing all the the foundational story work that we're very committed to as storytellers, then it's something that I think our team would be open to. If you have some thoughts, maybe we can talk a little bit after this. We very much viewed this show as the brand, and I can't even tell you what Yoga Dog looks like yet because we don't have that costume. We don't have that done yet. We can see how the show plays out. We can see the characters. We have drawings and sketches, but until you actually make it, we don't really know.
So, question right here.
Yes.
Hi, I came in just a little bit after you started, and so I missed the very start. But have y'all considered perhaps something like Sesame Street or Sesame Place as a resource? And for parents who may be concerned about the word yoga, perhaps make that an acronym.
Yeah, so 2 questions. Have we considered like a Sesame Street, like a PBS type program? We have. It's challenging because in one way, we don't have any corporate partners. We don't have the show created. We need a lot of money. And then on the other hand, we really think that we have an incredible brand that we can make into, a billion-dollar company. We really do. So aligning ourselves with a network is not in our plan. We know from the experience that we have with Adventure to Fitness that there are corporate partners out here that will help us fund the show. And we just have to get something in front of them, or we have to have a really, really, visionary C-suite of executives who understand it and fund it before it's created. So I think it's a private investor route just to get something, get it started. Long game, yeah, sure. You really, we want someone to come in, a big network to come in and acquire the brand. That's, that's the out at the end of this, but not for 10, 20 years, not until I can retire. So.
Quick question, I may have missed this in your presentation, but how have you involved moms in this as far as them being more of a force as far as having a mission to get more kids involved in this way? Just kind of want to get an understanding of how you've incorporated that.
I missed the most important word of what you were saying there. How do we get the what involved?
Mothers.
The mothers. Well, right now our path is we're talking and reaching out to mommy bloggers, and we're getting the mommy bloggers excited about Yoga Dog's Kickstarter campaign and about the concept. So that's where our focus is right now. I should say we have a marketing and PR team that's on board that's helping us do all of that. Because we know how influential those mommy bloggers are. We know kids aren't going to buy this, they're not going to buy the bed sheets, they're not going to buy the backpacks, it's going to be the parents. We really want the kids to go home from school and say, Yoga Dog this, and look what I learned today, and talk about the experiences that they're having engaging in the show. And then we hope that the parents will or caregivers or whoever, the adults are in their life that have the spending power, will see that the impact that the show is having on these children and want to purchase those products. How many people know kids that are like nuts about Frozen, right? I mean, how much money has been made just on Frozen, t-shirts and costumes and all of that. And there's some learning involved with Frozen. It's entertainment, but there's some learning involved. We want the learning and the impact that the show's having on these kids' lives to be kind of first. But we know that it has to be fun and engaging and funny and all of that in order for that to happen. So I don't know if that answers your question, but parents, caregivers are very important.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
You were thinking, or you were asking about easier ways, or perhaps not easier, but less expensive ways to get some recognition and some traction. Have you thought about, and I know it's only 6 seconds, but Vine videos? Some companies out there are absolutely masterful at telling full stories in 6 seconds or using 12-second segments in Instagram. That might be another interesting way of building recognition and embedding a quick little exercise and fun story. It's not easy, but it's a simple, cheaper way to get out there. Have you thought about that?
No, thank you for mentioning it. I mean, it is something that I think would be relevant and would work very well for what we're trying to accomplish. Even, just meeting our team and having our team talk about who these characters are and kind of how we envision these stories is, it's relatable. People get it when we talk about the show. They see Yoga Dog, they go, I don't really know what that is. But then when you say, oh, well, there's this caterpillar choir, and all they do is they come in and they kind of, they sing along and they help kind of move things along, and they're really fun. People get that. So, Vine videos. I'll put that in our to-do list.
Final question right here.
I just wanted to say that great idea. My son was doing yoga at Lakemont Elementary School. They are using yoga there, so it might be a good way to go in and talk to someone there through Orange County. But I want to piggyback on a previous question about the minimum viable product. You were talking about the minimum number being around 300,000 that you needed for the TV show idea that you have. But it seems like the minimum viable product that you have is the Yoga Dog character and the stories that you have. And you talked about it being a live action person in a suit and stuff. Have you thought about, because it seems like you have some low-hanging fruit there in the yoga studios. You said that it's the fastest growing sport, the yoga studios. Have you thought about going in there, possibly with your stories, and a Yoga Dog costume and maybe, a couple seconds of like a Vine video or something like that, putting together a program for those yoga studios based around the Yoga Dog character and some of your stories to attract the kids of those parents that are in the yoga studio, doing it at a lower cost and getting some proof of concept going on there, and a little bit more, proving those stories and getting that going, to get some funds in there from those yoga studios, maybe establishing like a kids program for the yoga studios, allowing those mommies to bring their kids in, do something that's active, and then using that to kind of catapult yourself into Kickstarter campaign, because you have a lot of people in those yoga studios that could possibly, hey, this is great, I want to get involved in this, getting a bigger groundswell involved in that at a lower cost.
Yeah, great question. We have done some of that without a character. So I didn't mention, we have a person who's considered one of the founders of the children's yoga movement. Her name is Shakta Khalsa, and she has been teaching children's yoga and training children's yoga instructors for over 40 years. So I was at the first National Kids Yoga Conference in Washington, D.C. a couple of months ago, and Shakta was the keynote speaker. And what we know is she's trained well over 300,000 trainers. I'm sorry, is that right? 300,000 trainers, yeah, around the world. So people that are already teaching kids yoga, she's connected with them. So we're leveraging that community through Shakta. And we're seeing some of the mommy bloggers and some of the bloggers from the kids yoga community have really been supportive of what we're doing, because there are kids yoga programs out there now, but none of them are mainstream. They're what you would expect. They're like kids doing yoga with an instructor, or laughing and playing, and but it's never anything that's going to reach a much bigger audience like this. So we have engaged that community. Going out and actually doing yoga with them and doing classes, that's something it'd be great to do if we had time and money and all those things. But we are talking to those people. And we're listening, more importantly. We're listening to what they think we need. And one of the big concerns is that some of those yoga people might think, the people that are already doing the children's yoga classes, is maybe they think this is competitive. Well, yoga is a non-competitive environment anyway, so that kind of goes off the table. But what we know is that if kids do Yoga Dog at school, they're going to want to take yoga classes. They're going to want to, the parents that can afford to put their kids into those classes, they're going to be asking for that. So it's only going to help benefit the yoga community. Honestly, the kids that I worry about are the kids that their parents can't afford to take them to yoga class. They can't pay to enroll them in a $20 class after school. Those are the kids that we want to make sure that they're getting the benefits of Yoga Dog. And
so awesome, Jody. So everyone here seems to really love your concept, and what I'm hearing is a community that says, we want to help you. Let us help you. You're going to have a lot of experts and authorities in this audience right here on growth hacking techniques and bootstrapping and kind of scaling in. People who have gone through the MVP product process a few times to then go on and get the big funding. So I definitely encourage you to follow up with some of these people and find partnerships, because it sounds like you guys are really excited about this. But in true 1 Million Cups fashion, what can we do right now? What would you like this audience to do right now to help you succeed?
Well, right now we're really focused on the Kickstarter campaign, and we are way behind on that. So in all honesty, at the end of, or the beginning of next week, if we haven't reached 50% of our goal, we're going to pull that campaign. Because I would much rather pull the campaign than have an unsuccessful program, or campaign. So going to Kickstarter, giving us $1, giving us $5, sharing it, sending it out to people that you know that will be interested in Yoga Dog and will kind of understand what we're trying to accomplish, and helping us get to that 50% at least, would be helpful. We still think that there's a really good chance we can get funded. I mean, I'm an eternal optimist and think that we can get funded on Kickstarter, and that would be the best way to fund our pilot. But we also know it's a long, tall hill that we have to climb. So if anyone can help us get up that hill, at least get us to that 50% mark, we think that that will help us get more interest. Sharing it and telling people about it would be helpful.
What was the time frame that you were looking for us to respond to the Kickstarter campaign in?
Today. November 17th is the end of our Kickstarter campaign, so we're 12 days away from that. We, by the beginning of next week, if we're not at the 50% mark, we'll pull the campaign. So we're at 33,000 some as of this morning, which is great. It's 100. We've got 179 backers as of late last night. So a lot of those are friends that I've begged and pleaded to give us $5, but a lot of those are people that we don't know and that just love the idea and understand what we're doing, and a lot of teachers and a lot of occupational therapists and things like that. So people who understand the value of what we're creating.
So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
So that is an exciting project that personally hits home for me. I love it. I want to give a moment to thank our sponsors. We have Rollins giving us this beautiful venue every single week. So Rollins, we appreciate you so much, especially the Center for Advanced Entrepreneurship. So let's give Rollins a round of applause. And 1 Million Cups would not be 1 Million Cups without coffee. So Barney's Coffee Kitchen, we love and appreciate you. Let's give them a round. And Rudy over here with Joycaster. It's thanks to him that this is live streamed and recorded so that we can catch it, and so that people like Jody can still participate in the community when they're not here. So thank you so much, Rudy. So we have just 4 minutes, and I wanted to, for those of you who might have missed when I presented Orlando's Big Exchange, I just wanted to give you a heads up. That is happening in 12 days. We have Connor over here in the audience. Wave, Connor. He's on the Vision team. There's a couple others. I see Sponsors Collab out there. Caitlin's a big friend of the Big Exchange. So this community is putting together, this is a community event, and we're all cooperating to bring the Big Exchange, which is Orlando's first celebration, week-long celebration of Global Entrepreneurship Week. Global Entrepreneurship Week starts November 17th, and it runs through the 23rd. So the Big Exchange series of events starts on Monday the 17th and wraps up on Friday. Let me tell you what this is like. We are bringing together thinkers, educators, artists, and makers to form spontaneous teams on Monday, work on some local problems that interest these teams, and then the teams can work remotely or on site through a series of workshops, Monday through Friday, to kind of work from problem through to solution. So if you've played with the idea of being an entrepreneur, or you think that you have entrepreneurial tendencies, but maybe you don't see yourself as a founder, this is a great way to test out what it's like to be kind of in the heat of entrepreneurship. On Friday, there's going to be a big showcase, so any teams that want to showcase their solutions, they can do that. And one team will get a $20,000 prize pack to sustain their solution going forward through the next year, until Global Entrepreneurship Week of 2015. So the purpose behind the Big Exchange is really to awaken a collective spirit of entrepreneurship in our city, and to create a place for those of us who want to try out being entrepreneurs, or kind of flex our muscles, or just bring our gifts to the table in that entrepreneurial setting. We're creating a place for that to happen. So if Joel, if you'll come hand out a few of these. This has the information on registration. I will tell you, if you want to make a note, I'll give you guys an awesome discount code right now. At the registration link, if you use the number 1, capital M, capital C, like 1MC, is lowercase is, big, B-I-G is all capitalized, then you will get an all-week pass for $59. So that includes the kickoff session, case, all the workshops in between, and we're trying to pull together a really cool after bash for you guys too, which would be included in your pass. We have amazing elements all throughout this week, surprises. Our team has put in so much hours and love, and the community has told us what they wanted, and we've just brought it together. We have Jason Surfer App coming in on Monday. He's going to be giving everybody a copy of his book, Creativity for Sale. He's the guy who made $1 million wearing company shirts. So he's going to be inspiring our teams and giving us kind of vision and ideas on how we can monetize our creativity. We have an amazing Google entrepreneur who's been on Oprah, who has created some awesome Oculus Rift technology. She's going to be sharing that, giving us hands-on demos Friday. So there's just all kinds of fun surprises packed into the week. And I hope that you guys will participate, register, and please share some love on social so that the word can get out, so that people know about this awesome opportunity. Oh, last but not least, 1 Million Cups does not exist without startups to present. So please refer your friends who have startups. Even if they feel like they're not ready, our team will work with them and help them get to the place where they are ready to showcase their idea or their startup. So bring a friend and refer your startups. Thanks so much, guys.